Feeling a little bit left out of the reindeer games? Hey, it's Care. Welcome to my take at the lake. If you've watched any video in 2020 through 2021, it was all about scrap busting. I'd say, in my English major way of estimating, 80% of videos on junk journaling were about scrap busting. What to do with all your scraps, how to make wonderful goodies out of what's left over from your projects. But what if you're new and you don't have baskets upon baskets of this kind of thing? And by the way, this isn't just for newbies who have zero scraps. This would spruce up your scraps. If you've had the same scraps for project after project after project after project, they get a little tired. You can certainly do this same thing that we're doing here for people who have no scraps to spruce up your own stash. If it's tired and you just need to breathe some life into it, go through this video and make some new scraps. Because, we all get tired of the same old. You gotta add a little variety once in a while. So this is not just for newbies with no scraps. We all started somewhere. We all were new at one point, and we didn't have a basket of goodies. In fact, I remember specifically going out and buying some. We'll get to that in a minute. And right now, for good reason, Louise Heinzel's scrap refreshing method is got us all alike, got us all excited because it's something new and fresh and a way to jazz up the stuff that we've been looking at for probably years now. The stuff that seems old and tired and same old, she has shown us a way to spruce it up. But for a long while I've been thinking about doing this video, and now seems as good a time as any. If you don't have a basket of this, then you're kind of SOL. So I'm bringing you 5 ways to get a basket of goodies like this. Maybe not 5 baskets of goodies, but baskets of goodies that you can play the reindeer games. You can get involved in the scrap busting and the cool things that you can make with scraps because you'll have some. I just want to show you a few things that are in my baskets so that we know what we're talking about. Offcuts. When you're cutting off pages to make a certain size book, you have offcuts, and a lot of times you have several. So there's this, and this can be made into a little notepad. I mean, there's all kinds of, I'm not going to talk about what you can make with scraps because that's why we're here. We've all seen the videos. There's about 1 billion things that you can make with scraps if you have scraps. But so there's offcuts. There's rejects. I don't know if you can see this paper, but it must have been out in the sun. See, it's faded. So it's not perfect anymore, and some of it's copied on and for whatever reason found its way into my scraps basket. Bits of torn things. Stamping gone awry. Let's see what else. Just bits and pieces of, this is deli paper, that's a half sheet. Music. Pieces of other projects. Of course, napkins. Things that you used most of, but not all of. And all this used to be sorted by size. Full-size sheets, half sheets. But then I started tucking these offcuts in the back, and so this all has to be organized. Someday. The book pages, all different sized book pages. Book cover, here's a book cover. Notebook paper. Used to be all sorted and sized. Offcuts of digikits. And then this basket up front here, underneath, like I said, holy messoli, this needs to be, maybe that'll be this afternoon's project. But in here are just teeny little bits. Look how cute. Denim and flowers and some old graph paper. Teeny tiny pieces of essentially trash, but they're here. I even have little tiny bits of string, wrapping paper, so different sizes. I also have all these bits that are just color. There's no print or anything on it. They're just different pieces of color for who knows what exactly. Another basket full of goodies. Bits of ribbon and buttons and ties and bits of string and yarn and more offcuts of fabric and appliques and embroidery floss and various material and strips. These again are offcuts, but one page at a time versus cutting 20 of them. That's why these are all by themselves. Pieces of scrapbook paper. These were offcut for making altered books. And just bigger pieces of scrap, bigger strips, bigger offcuts. So whatever are we going to do? You want to play in the scrap-busting games, but you don't have any scraps. And don't laugh. I can hear seasoned people going, oh my God, who doesn't have scraps? People who are new. People who are just starting into this are new, who don't have any scraps. I have a list here of ways for you to get scraps. Some are more fun than others. The first way, and I am not being flippant here, this is no joke, do one project. Do one project. Do an Ugly Betty journal. Do a Wreck-It Rita journal. Do a small glue book. Make a small glue book out of old book pages. I'll show you. This is part of a video upcoming, but I'll give you a sneak peek. I'm making mini glue books. I'm taking pages out of books that I want to alter, folding them in half, and these are now going to be glue books. But take one book apart and make a small glue book out of one magazine, some old, it doesn't have to be book pages, it can be copy paper, it can be newspaper, it can be magazine pages, it can be anything. But do one project and you will be on your way. It's kind of, you know, the whole drink one beer, pee 3 times analogy. Do one project, you'll have scraps enough. It look like you did 3 projects. No kidding. They multiply. They seemingly come out of nowhere. Do one project. Force yourself out of your fear. The only way to do it is to do it. You're not going to ruin anything. It's paper and glue. Not a big deal. Dive in. Do one project. You'll have scraps that hell wouldn't have. You could go buy scraps. I bought these at Walmart. I also remember buying a big bag of scrap paper. This is mulberry. This must have been a different thing, but mulberry paper, which is the stuff with the, you can see it. Mulberry paper has fibers in it. Really cool. Some of them are sparkly fibers. So I bought mulberry scraps and all these are off-cut. Every package is different. I also bought just a bag of paper scraps for about, between $4 and $7. A nice big, and they were all different shapes and sizes of scraps from the Meyer craft section. Another way that you can do it, so you can make a project or you can buy scraps, you can ask your crafty friends, hey, I'd like to get into this. I'm watching all these videos. Do you have a few scraps you could throw my way? If you have one friend who does this, they would be happy to fill a manila envelope or one of those mailers and toss it your way, and you will be on your way. If you don't happen to know anybody personally that's doing this kind of thing, there are loads of Facebook groups, and for the most part, this crafting community is very, very generous with information and with goodies. I'm sure that if you posted in one or two of these Facebook groups and said, hey, I'm brand new to this, if we DM, would you send me a few things to my post office box, or would you mail me just some scraps? Doesn't have to be any great shakes, but I'd like to get started, and that seems an easy in for me. You'll be inundated, I'm sure, with scraps, which would be awesome because it'd be things you might not pick yourself, things that they've used a lot, but they're tired of it because they've used a lot, and they used it a lot because it was awesome, but now they're tired of it, and now it's part of your awesome scrap stash. Woohoo! Those are cool things. So you could organize, say if I organize the scrap swap, I'm going to keep some of it for me and send out the rest as a shipping and handling fee, as a organizational fee. I'm going to keep some of them if it's okay. Send me some, send some to share. I'll remail the rest. There's a lot of coordinates that you have to do with that and organization, but if you're into that kind of thing, go for it. Or, and this is my particular favorite other than buying things. We all know how much I like to buy stuff. Make some scraps. You don't even have to make a project. We're not making a project today. We're so meta. I am so meta. I write about writing, and when I did research, I researched about research. And right now, talking about scraps, we're going to make scraps. We're not going to make a project. We're just going to make scraps. You'll need to go around your house and your office and your junk mail and probably your garbage and find some stuff. And then we'll get to making some scraps. These are just pieces of copy paper. I printed something and it was 2.5 by 3 inches. And of course it printed right in the middle of the page. So I had to cut it out. Well, now I've got these bits and pieces. It could be kids' art. If you have some scribbles or doodles that you're okay with that, then let's do that. Newspaper. Whether you subscribe to the newspaper or not, you have newspaper laying around. There's ads, these freebies that come in the paper. Grab a newspaper, grab some ads. These come whether you want them or not. These come. Use that. Remember when buying those adult coloring books was a good idea? And you've never done anything with them? Or if you have, tear one or two out that you, again, don't mind tearing up, because we're going to do a lot of that today. Envelopes. If you have a week's worth of bills that you haven't looked at, or mail that you do once a week or whatever, you're going to have truckloads of these in your mail. The original ones that they come in, and the ones that they mail to you to mail something back to them. So almost every mailer you get has 2 envelopes. This is another advertising insert to the newspaper. It's a free one. Just shows up once in a while. These that come in newspaper, Sunday newspaper, bunches of ads. Once in a while there'll be a little article or some coupons. Paper from Amazon shipments or wherever you buy stuff from. Comes in all different shapes and sizes and colors. If you have one old paperback that you can part with, that the dog chewed up, or you just don't care to read again and again and again, I promise you, as an English major and a writer, tearing out books at first was very difficult. But I promise you, you will not burn in the fires of hell for doing so. You're giving it a new life. It could probably just end up in a landfill if you don't save it. So you're actually doing it a favor by giving it new attention, giving it new life. So look at it as extending its life rather than destroying a book, which I get. Believe me, I get. If you've ever printed anything out from your computer, if you drafted a letter or something like that you had typewritten and you had to print it, then you edited it, found 6 errors, and then reprinted it, keep those extra pieces for scraps, more envelopes, more mailers. Ever get a prescription at Walmart or Meijer or the local pharmacy? They come in these handy little bags. Similarly, if you ever buy wine or whiskey at your little local shop, they come in fabulous bags. Straight up, plain old white copy paper. I believe most of us have some of this lying around. This is obviously use food packaging. Crackers. Oh, there's the beer store bag. Anytime you're at like a gas station or a small mom and pop shop convenience store, ask them if they have paper bags. Most of them do. Get that instead. Fabulous. Again, paperback. Oh, any sort of catalog that you have, there's so much to be scrapped out in here. More book pages. Again, this is something I printed. I used for a video a while back. I love hate of digikits. I used it for the video, but what am I going to do with it now? I'll tell you. I'm going to tear out my little My Take logo. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to put it in my scraps. And I'm going to tear him out because he's just cute. He's like lying on the beach, not minding life at all. These little guys, pretty cool. Although highly addictive, I might take that whole thing. So I'm not going to tear on that anymore. So go around your house, find an old magazine, one that you've thumbed through and thumbed through and thumbed through. You have one. You might not have 30, but you have one. And one is all you need. And if you don't have one, that's fine too. We got plenty of other stuff to play with. Wrapping paper. Go to that little drawer or closet where you keep wrapping paper for gifts and just tear off a little bit. Just tear off a teeny little bit for your junk journal scrap pile. Newspaper and envelopes. So I think we've gotten to the bottom of my pile here. Let's get to making some goodies. So since I started with the wrapping paper, and I just pulled off a strip. So I'm gonna keep that one strip because that's a nice size. That you need all different shapes and sizes for these scrap busting videos. But I'm gonna tear off another piece. I love these polka dots. And sometimes the rattier the better. You're not gonna wrap a gift with that. You're gonna throw it away anyway. When you go to wrap a gift, you're not gonna use the junky piece. you're going to cut that off and throw it out anyway. So do it now. And now all we're going to do for right now, this is the easy part. We're just going to tear it up into different sizes. I kind of like the square of that. I'm just going to maybe tear out some of the individual color bubbles here, polka dots. Oh, I like the blue and the teal and the green together. So, and that leaves me with 2 reds and a little bit of orange. So I'm going to just tear that up. And right now, don't throw anything out. Sort them by size for right now, size and shape. So we have medium, medium, medium to large, and teeny. So that's all we're going to use of that. You didn't waste too much at all. And you have more, and there was way more ruined paper on there, so you could go back to it. It'd be fine. So let's go to this guy. I like that word, the words, the phrase, whatever. So I'm just going to tear that out. I've seen so many people who have nice cork-backed rulers, and they're corked back so they don't slip when you're cutting and when you're tearing. And so many people use them upside down. What's the point of having it, please? Thank you very much. Anyway, cork back down so it doesn't slip and slide all over the place. And tear that out. So we can have a pile for words. Just gonna tear that out. I like the love-hate thing. And tear that out. Words. Now here is just nice color. I can't see a use for the really weird shape, so I'm going to tear that off, and that'll give me a nice clean shape. A nice soft blue piece of color. Once again, I forgot to turn on my new light. I never forgot my old light, and I'm not even sure it makes that big of a difference. I like pros. I'll tear that up. Questionable stuff, I'm gonna, well, you know, right now it's all fair game. More color. You don't always have to use the ruler to get that nice straight edge. You can go ahead and tear some stuff up messily. This is good for you if you're afraid to start, so afraid to start that you haven't done a project and you have no scraps because you're afraid to start. It's kind of like the job experience thing. You can't get the job because you have no experience, and you don't have experience because you've never had a job. Well, here we go. You're beating that game. Let's make some scraps. You can make some stuff with your scraps, and that'll give you the courage and the tools because you're practicing, you're gluing, you're getting to know the consistency of your glue, you're getting to know the different papers, you're getting to know design, what looks right, what feels right, just by playing around with these things. So this is all good stuff. If you are afraid to start, this is a really easy in. They don't all have to be perfect shape, because sometimes you pull stuff off that looks weird. So medium size, that's kind of cool. That'd make kind of a cool border on something, those bullets. So how far can we take it? We'll take it all the way over there. Cool. Look, a border. Some more color. I like the tearing ruler because it's fast. Fast works for me. Spark many ideas, words. This I'm going to keep because it's nice big print. I could pull that. I could pull just so many ideas. Something for, oh, I cut off some of it. Screaming, that'd be kind of fun. I'm going to leave that and put it in my words pile. Both of these. Teeny bits. Just because we can come back. They're going to be very handy later. Now this book, this one catalog, whether yours is a food catalog or a shoe catalog or a clothing catalog, this happens to be bedding, it doesn't matter. There's so much in here for you to pick from. So right off the bat, I'm going to start with this beautiful bedspread. And I'm just tearing. All I'm doing is tearing paper into different shapes and sizes. We don't have a nice big pile. You know, we have a medium to large. I'm going to do a little bit bigger. For some reason, the points coming up like that drive me. So I usually always tear those off. And now I have a bit for my little bits. So depending on how you tear it, some of it has a white edge and some of it doesn't. If you tear it toward you, you're going to get the white edge. If you tear it away from you, you're not going to get the white edge. Just depends on the look you want. Either way, it takes good ink. Torn edges really absorb ink well. Whoop, hit the microphone again. Why don't you? Let's see. I like that word cuddle, so I'm gonna if you want, you can start a pile of just color, just brown. Primarily brown. I want that word, so I'm gonna take it. I just want cuddle though. I don't want any of the rest of it. With these little bits, it's good to press down really hard, give some super firm pressure on that to hold that in place so that it doesn't slip when you're trying to cut it. Tear it. I mean, I screwed up and got too much of that D left, and it's too tiny to tear, so there. Cuddle. Now I have cuddle. And down might not be a bad thing later, and since give some more of that. More brown. Okay. That was just the cover. That's just the cover. We could spend all day just doing, but you're looking for patterns if you like the patterns. Let's see. Blocks of color if you just want blocks of color. Trying to find a specific. That's a good one. These make beautiful borders, so I'm gonna take that out. Sometimes it's easier, not all the time, but sometimes it's easier to put the small end underneath your ruler and grab the larger end to tear. Larger piece. So now you've got this beautiful border. Look how cool that is. Look how cool. So there's that. So now we have a strip. We have to start a strip pile, because remember, one of the things that I had was a lot of strips. I have tons of strips in my scrap pile, and there's lots of videos out there on what you can do with strips, strip scraps. You could go around and fussy cut here later if you decide to, but let's do this one too. Even though it's not straight up and down like that one was, it's every bit as cool. So I'm gonna take off that bottom border. And what I always like to do is get rid of the words. Even though I'm a word junkie, I don't want them in my scraps. Another strip. Now this one, you know, it's kind of cool to have all the different names. So I'm going to keep that anyway. I'm going to keep it anyway. Here's just, you don't want the phone number, but lots of texture. Dark. It looks like a piece of wood and some old carpet, like one of those big old rugs. So either strips or just scraps. We can do the same thing that we did with the other. Take out the words. Take out the miscellaneous. And there we go. Do you see the point? I'm going to shift you over here a little bit. But look at all. This is napkin scraps from a project from this morning. Please disregard. But so far, we've got quite a pile. Oh, this should go in the words, I guess. Strips and pieces and colors and bits and parts and words. Words. And we've only been doing this about 10 minutes. So it won't take long. Again, you could spend all day with one catalog, with one small magazine. Let's look at a magazine. What can we find in the magazine? Well, right here, this blank would be great for... And I always check the back just to see if there's a fantastic dog that I need to keep, or something that I prefer to have other than this square. But I'm going to take this... Am I even on? I am. Okay, I'm just going to take that and try and approximate the same size frame on that empty box. And I'm going to do the same. I don't want quite that much on there. And now I have just a nice little blank canvas that's framed. That'll go on that side. That's pretty cool. Just a nice background of something. We'll keep that. Of course, keep the words better and yum. Even though those aren't necessarily scraps, they'll come in handy. Oh, this is fun. Look at here. So it's almost like a pre-made, well, it is a pre-made background. Tear off this other stuff. Doesn't have to be perfect. Why? Because we're making scraps for junk journals. These things do not have to be perfect at all. But you could take some kind of little something or other. We haven't got anything yet, but we will. And cluster on top of here. I'm just gonna, because we'll get to it, I'm gonna take a piece of the book page and I would glue that there. And I have this piece of napkin from something else, which are just scraps, which is what we're talking about. I might put that in the background. Like that. Put that on there. We're going to find some kind of cool thing, but then do that 4 times, and this is a beautiful addition to your junk journal or glue book even, or altered book. Right? Right. So these are now teeny. We're going to put that in the teeny pile. Words. We're going to keep the words just because we never know what we're going to use. Here's, I don't know. Probably not. We got bunches more to choose from here. Some more color. If you like the wording, keep that. I love colored words, and I like tearing this stuff up so you don't know what it came from. I don't need the Aveeno thing, but this is pretty cool. And I'm gonna tear the Aveeno part out so I have more of that gold if I want gold and wheat. If I guess it's oatmeal. And I don't need her toes in there. I don't want that point, but I have an extra piece to work with. Do you see the point? Do you see how easy this is to come up with scraps where you originally had none? To make goodies with. You can go through your one magazine. Again, you only need one. And cut out whatever you want. These teeny little things, tiny things. That would go great on that little cluster we just made. There's a little hat. The quote marks are always fun. This is pretty. So, tear out the whole page. Any cool dogs I need? Oh, cool dogs. But this is kind of cool, these old photographs. So I'm gonna save that. Photo ops is kind of cool. You can always clean it up later. Take off the pieces that you don't want later. Photo ops, that's pretty cool. So not only are we getting scraps, but we're getting some interesting focal points as well. So I'm going to start another pile for focal points. But back to this. This is just pretty background, pretty color. Now this you could keep whole. You could tear it, or cover up the part you don't want, and you don't have to tear it. So there's options. I'm going to keep it larger. And if I want to cut it down later, I can. Always check the back to see if there's something cool. And there is. That's pretty cool. I don't need the white part on there, but that would make a great addition. Look at those little old wooden spools. If you're doing a fall book or a season journal or something like that. Perfect. Add that to it. Looky there. All kinds of fun stuff to work with. Again, glue book or junk journal. This is primarily for junk journaling though. Again, all we're doing here is making scraps. And if you look to if you saw the side next to me, just tearing this stuff out, I got a truckload of stuff. It's, you know, no great shakes necessarily. Look here. Polka dotted half a frame. I'm going to take that. Because right now I'm greedy. I don't have much scraps to work with. And I want as much scraps to work with as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take it. Will I use it? I may not. It might be the first thing I use. I don't know. So again, I would just cover up the pieces that I didn't want. The white and the vintage don't really go, but you're getting the point. So I'm going to put that, I don't know, backgrounds. Do I have a spot? I don't yet. You could spend all day with one magazine cutting out small focal points, backgrounds, interesting text to use for backgrounds as clusters, borders, color blocks, like that piece right there would be a nice color block, and you'll have tons of scraps from that. These you can tear up if you want. If you only have one bag, I would keep it as a foundation. I would make a junk journal out of this versus tear it up. Put in some folded copy paper, this brown craft paper and white copy paper look beautiful together. If you fold up some paper. So, and we all decided we have at least a little bit of copy paper. You know me, I don't like to work a whole bunch for it, so I'm going to fold it in half. But for this particular size journal, it's going to have to be a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to I want it on the inside, so I don't want it sticking out. So I want to have quite a bit smaller than my, and I'm not measuring, this is, you know, just fast and easy. A way to get your feet wet and tear some paper and join in the reindeer games that is junk journaling. I'm supposed to be cleaning. I have my cleaning clothes on, my rattiest, nastiest sweatshirt, and here I am, hanging out with you. Way more fun. Much prefer your company to that of my vacuum cleaner. Okay, so I kind of got carried away. That's a little too small, I think. Well, it might not be too bad. But look, so I have papers that are going to fit in my little journal. I also have scraps. Look at offcuts. Looky here. These are all the same size, which are handy. There's lots of videos out there on what to do with offcuts. So those are kind of medium to large. That's a kind of a large one. This one you could tear up if you wanted to. You could make another journal out of this with some of that craft paper pages. That would be kind of fun. I love that edge. That almost pinked edge. I don't want my journals to necessarily be giant Walmart pharmacy ads. So I'm just going to tear off the pieces that I like. Look how cool is that? Right, okay. So that one's already almost off, and that one has the blue on it. But I'm going to keep them because I'm making scraps. That's the whole point of this. But I have this nice, oh, it's torn. Oh, it's torn. Hang on. Hang on. It's all right. I'm just going to grab, you might have 1 or 2 little things of washi. If not, no worries. You could, I'm going to washi this side. Easy peasy. No more rip. But if I don't have washi, check this out. I'm going to take a tiny piece of this pretty that we just tore up. I think it's from the bedspread. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than my tear. And I bet, if you don't have the good stuff yet, I bet you have any old glue stick will do, because right now all we're doing is scraps. Now, I could put the white side down and see the pretty, or I could glue the pretty, which then I should have just, if I was going to do that, why not tear up the copy paper? Oh well. So I'm going to find my little tear and I'm going to put a band-aid on it. Now I have that nice big piece. If I want pretty washi, I could use that. I don't have to keep it long. I can make it smaller. So I'm just going to tear out some more of this bag. It's plain white, absolutely, but it's a completely different texture than copy paper. And part of the beauty of playing with scraps is all the different textures. Could keep it that's an interesting shape. Some blue. And I don't want it to say pharmacy. take the blue piece off. I'm going to leave that because it's an interesting shape and size. It's got some crazy stuff going on the seam. I'm going to leave that. Okay, what else? Back of a composition book I tore off. Could tear that up. It's pretty hardy. I'm not gonna. This kind of box, you can tear this up to make a book cover, of course. But you're not going to use, well, you might use those flaps and make kind of a long skinny one. Well, there I go. So I'm gonna leave that as is. I was gonna tear off the flaps and use those pieces as colors, but we'll do that on the brownie. So now I have a second little journal I can play with later if I feel like it. This one, again, it's a food box, but you might not want it that thick. You can just peel some of those layers off and get, what I just did there is bend that corner really hard forward and back on itself, and usually it'll separate right away. But oh my god, you wrecked the corner. Yeah, it's scraps. Yeah, I did wreck the corner. The brand, but fudge brownie. Yeah, these are so good. Greek yogurt. Yeah, Yasso. If you haven't tried them, they're excellent. Anyway, more color block. You could tear this whole thing up for color pieces. You could use parts of it as another cover. This stuff, now that it's thin, again, it's a little bit different texture. It's not too terribly thick. And where it is, you just peel off another layer. And just keep peeling it, or tear it off. There I go. Copy paper we've covered. These inserts, these ad inserts, are just like the magazines and the catalogs. Now you could take just a border. Take out the QR codes. Those are interesting little bits. Take out unique designs. I'm messing up my pile. You could have little focal points. You can have the arrows. You can certainly, by all means, take your scissors and cut some of this stuff out. Take that kind of time. It's always nice to have black. You know, I'm going to have to come back and cut out the dog. Cut out some words, tear up some that'd be a cool background for something. I don't know what exactly. Again, we're not here to make the things. We're here to make the things to make the things. Envelope. You can tear them in half. That's kind of a cool page. I might just use that as a page in my book, my little journal. Again, if you can part with one book, one or two, I think I have two different sizes here, of pages that you can play with. It can be a glue pad, it can be background, it can be clusters, it can be all of these things. But for our purposes, and this I have coffee dyed. If you drink coffee, take some of this stuff, your book pages, your newspaper, your craft paper, copy paper, all of it, and throw coffee at it. After you've had your coffee in the morning, throw coffee at it. And just let it dry naturally. You don't have to go in the oven and do all that happy stuff. And then tear it up. Tear it up. Now you've got all kinds of bits and pieces. I think that'll all go in the one pile. Here's some strips. Go add my strips. Now, bits and pieces. So put out, if you want strips, put them all together in a pile and do strips. That keeps them pretty uniform. One thing you can do is go all the way around and take the border off all the way around. Now you have all kinds of offcuts, all kinds of strips, and then all kinds of text blocks. This one's already torn, so I'm going to tear it up. And just tear it up, just because you just don't know what size is going to work where, or how much you're going to need when, and put them in your piles. This one's kind of, it's already folded, so I might just leave it folded and see what comes of that. Kind of a bigger piece. And these I'm just going to leave and put them in my words folder. I don't know. I might tear them up. I don't know. This stuff, same thing. Just tear a piece off. This big stuff makes fantastic pages. But for right now, we're tearing it up. But there's no music. I don't have any music or dictionary pages. Well, whatever will I do without music and dictionary pages? Well, you have a couple of options. You can tear up a dictionary. You can go online and buy a digikit with music. In fact, I happen to have a random papers thing in my on my Etsy shop. I think it's 22 or 24 or 32. I don't know. There's a lot of pages, and they're all random. Get one of those kind of digikits, and then you have music, and you have Old Ledger, and you have all that stuff. And you can print out one copy and tear it up. Print out just a couple pages and tear that up. You can go online on Google Images and find a few images of sheet music and Old Ledger and print those out for free and tear that up into bits. I'm just going to put this where I had it in a separate pile, but it's all by itself, so what's the point? So I have medium images and smaller images and teeny bits and strips and words. Napkins. These are fantastic. Tear them up. Because when you do projects, essentially what you're doing is tearing stuff up and keeping the pieces that you tore up. Here are some tiny parts. Let's see, do we miss anything? More ads. Oh, newspapers. Let's do this for a bit. Come back here. This would be fun. All the puzzle solution. That's kind of a cool something. I don't know. The classifieds would be pretty cool. If it were me, I would leave out the phone numbers, but those are fun bits. More words, that'd be fun. Funny little clip art. I don't know if I'd want anything this big or not, but just in case, I'll take that off of there. Ah, I love that lantern. Use that for something. Another little building. If we use it for the thing, fine and dandy. If we use it for background, fine and dandy. Some cool colors, some olive drab. That's always a good color to have in your mix. What else do we have? These would all make pretty cool backgrounds. I'm going to tear off the words and the page numbers. The randomness is what you're after. I know this might, some of us have OCD, and this might just really, really make you crazy that they're not nice and neat and clean. But scraps are not nice, neat, and clean. Most of them. They're awkward and messy and, you know, like life. Here's the other side of that envelope. This part's coming apart, so now I have that piece. There's a nice clean square. That'll make you feel better. This one, these are fun. Little bits. So this is that coloring book piece. Scraps. Some pretty cool background of something. Some people like the fringe. And since I'm using this for this project, it's all gonna go. It's all gonna go. Again, focal points you can cut out. Tiny little, you know, some fussy cutting. Some numbers. Not necessarily scraps. Oh, some dogs. Not necessarily scraps, but when you do the scrap busting projects that all this is made for, you kind of need a focal point on top. Could be a flower, could be a plant, could be a dog, it could be a stamp, it could be anything, could be your focal point. So that's what these things are good for, because you need all the pieces and parts. If you're going to play, you got to have all the toys. Another thing that's in here is tissue paper. Just take a bit of tissue paper if you're throwing coffee around. Throw some coffee at it. If not, that's alright. You're good. Different sizes, different shapes. More newspaper. Here's that colored, you know, not much into pink, so I don't need much of this. For me, this will go a long way. So I don't need much of that. This is that plain Jane copy paper. Now, because it's already nice and neat and tidy and clean, I might just do some more of that. Now, more scraps than you can shake a stick at. You have plenty to play along with the reindeer games. Now, again, the reason I'm bringing you this video is because I was new and I had to buy supplies. I didn't know anybody who was doing this. I forgot I had all my scrapbook stuff downstairs, and I didn't want to play with that. I wanted new stuff, blah, blah, blah. Even though it's junk journaling. You know, sometimes my head, I don't know. But I'm going to do a part 2 to this because, again, one of the things that's all the rage this week, and for good reason, is Louise Heinzel's Refresh Your Scraps paint-a-thon. And so I'm going to take the stuff that we just made from garbage, stuff we all have lying around the house. I'll put them in a list of what we used in the description below. Newspaper, magazine, catalog, inserts, coupons, misprinted paper, old drafts of letters, one old book, maybe one old dictionary. Print something off from the internet if you just have to have music in your collection. A coloring book, a catalog, and just go to town. Still have all of this to play with. All of this. This is just a tiny bit. And I promise you, once you start making projects, this will multiply like rabid rabbits. Holy smokes. Just with this pile that we used today, you have enough scraps to craft the next 10 years. To do scrap busting crafts. That's all for this one. It was a lot, but I think well worth it. If you don't have any scraps, you'll have plenty. I'm going to go play Louise style, and I'll be back. Mate at the lake. Out for now.